Guys, this is Sandra. Welcome back to my channel. So today is another episode of the alcohol-based markers, and I am starting off with my Prismacolor Premier markers. So these ones are my babies. I have had these for such a long time. Now let me think back. I think it's easily been about 12 years. So I want to show you before we actually get into the video. And again, this video will be exactly like the Copic video. I've gotten all of the names written down on a piece of paper, and I'm just going to swatch the shades, and then we'll talk about them as I go through. So these came in these hard plastic, like black cases, and when I first bought them, they were very expensive. I bought the pack of 48, so the black did not come in the pack. I had to buy the colorless blenders and the black separate. They were very expensive. So when I say a pack of 48, I think it was almost like $300. So this was 12 years ago, and I'm going to be completely honest here. The main reason I bought them, because I went into this fine art store called Colors. It was off of Calgary Trail, and my sister was with me, and she was just entering a program for architecture, and she needed these markers. So that's why I say these alcohol-based markers come in handy for architecture, for marketing, for any industry that involves art. So me being an art fanatic, an art freak, even back then, because of course I love painting, I love drawing, it's just my whole thing. I love anything to do with art. So I purchased them as well. And now I have to admit that for the past 12 years, I think I've used them more in the last 2 years than I've used them in the previous 10. So I know that sounds so sad and pathetic, and I will show you these. I bought specific cases for them from Amazon, and these cases are actually by Prismacolor, and they each hold 24 markers. So here's the first pack, and now you can tell, like, this looks so aesthetically pleasing. I love this. And because most markers, and I know I just watched a video that recently said some markers need to be like standing vertical. So for the majority of markers, unless they're like a paint marker or that have actual liquid that you can see in the body of the marker, most markers need to be laid horizontal. So the same goes for these because they are dual-ended, so the ink needs to flow equally from the one side to the other side. Now, I also have to say that the only kind that I have are the broad tip. So the broad chisel tip, and then the other side is a pointy, like a fine tip. So recently, and I'm not sure when these came out, if they came out at the same time or if these Chisel-Tip came out first, but they do have brush markers now on the market. So the brush marker, again, one side is a brush, the other side is a fine tip. So you'll remember with the Copics, one side was a chisel tip and one side was a brush tip. So that is the difference there. And these are not refillable. So now I think if Copics range in price or average in price about $8 a marker, these are about $6 to $7 depending where you go. You can't find these at Walmart. Again, it's either Michael's or on Amazon or in your fine art store. So the other pack I have are these ones here. So again, like, these are some of my favorite colors. It's so aesthetically pleasing. I love having this set. And I did actually, how do I say, I gave them new life. So I was reading up on this process, and I was also watching videos as well. With the Prismacolor markers, they do not have nibs you can replace like the Copics do, and also they do not have refillable ink. So pretty much once the marker has run its course and it's all dried up, that's it. But because they are alcohol based, I was reading online that you can actually inject alcohol, so rubbing alcohol, 70%, into the marker nib. Now, I wouldn't recommend like younger people doing this because you don't want to stab yourself with a needle, but I actually purchased just some needles from my local medical store, and I literally take alcohol and you push the needle into the tip, both sides, the fine point and the chisel side, as far as you can, and you inject a little bit of the alcohol. And when you inject it, you'll notice the area of the injection site it turns white because the ink and the pigment is being like, I guess not taken away, but it just dilutes that site. So then you lay the markers, like you have to shake them very vigorously. So you shake them, and then you lay them on in the horizontal for a couple of days. So now I think I did that last year, and these markers are working phenomenal. There was only a handful of shades. There was one that was a little dried out, and you will see in the swatch video. I can't actually see it right now, but the only one that did not have any color was the cream shade. So that one lost its color. But I mean, for the fact that I paid that kind of price back in the day and the fact that they still work, I would have to say I love these. I don't want to say the best, and this is not a comparison video because I just wanted to give everybody a sense of the colors that I have, the color selection, and which type of markers that I have. And I know a lot, like when I was looking at, before I purchased any Copic markers or had them purchased for me as gifts, I was searching up on them and wondering if it was worth my money because I already have these Prismacolor markers and they are basically the same thing. The only difference is mine are the Chisel-Tip and the Copics have a brush tip. So you'll notice in the swatch portion I have actually one brush marker by Prisma, and it is not, you do not do any brush lettering with these. Like these are strictly for artistic creation, for coloring if you so choose. They still bleed through the paper. I never showed the actual bleed through. Maybe I can show you quick here. So there's the bleed through. But like if you do purchase coloring books and you want to use these expensive markers just for coloring, which I mean I don't really recommend. If you're going to invest in this type of product, you should be using them for something like for art. But I mean, I'm not going to judge what you want to use the markers for. And I will say, if you do use them in the coloring book, you can get coloring books that have a black side so you can't see through, or really thick paper, and the color goes on so smooth. So you do not see streaky lines when you're coloring. It just looks fantastic. I've used them for coloring myself, so who am I to judge? However, when it comes to purchase between either these or between Copics, I noticed that the price on Amazon now is quite a bit cheaper for the Prismacolor, and the Copics are a little bit more pricey, but again, they have refillable ink. So it just kind of depends what you already have in your supply, in your stationery kit, or what you're kind of leaning towards buying now. That's a decision for you to make, and I just wanted to show what colors I had. So I think the highest pack that you can purchase on Amazon now, and the prices change all the time, so I mean it could be wrong now, but last summer it was $682 for the pack of 200 and some. Can't remember if it was 200 or 260, but in that range, and it was $682. And I mean, that's all the markers. So it also includes the paint pens. So you get the large paint pens, the skinny paint pens, and colors of splendor and black, and all the colors in between. So, and I think even for the brush pack, I think you get only 72, and I could be wrong, but it's still $224 for the brush markers now. Or maybe it only comes in a pack of 48, I can't remember for sure. But you can find them on Amazon.ca, and if I were to repurchase, I would definitely get the brush tip markers. Again, you cannot use them for brush lettering. I would not recommend that. The tip is very floppy. It's not meant for brush lettering. They are meant for artistic work and designing and coloring. So that's just a little tidbit for your knowledge. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. And so I know this was kind of the introduction. I'm not really going to have an end piece on this video only because I have explained, and I'll just quickly insert the swatches. And in between my talking, and then this will be the end of the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what your experience is, if you've used Prismacolor, if you've used Copic, what your opinion is, what you think is better, because I think it's interesting when people are looking for reviews and you know, specifically for work, like what kind should we buy? And even for programs, like going into an architectural program, I mean, the school will give you recommendations, they'll tell you what you should get or what you shouldn't get, and it just depends how long you want it as an investment. So if it's just like an art hobby, I would recommend even going a little bit cheaper. There's some great alcohol-based markers that are not brand name. Artist Loft, for instance, it's a Michaels brand. They're a little bit cheaper. So, and I will do a video, and next video, and I'm actually going to have my Artist Loft markers as well as Sharpies, and we will combine the two. And we'll do the same kind of thing. I'll just do an intro, and it'll be an insert of the actual swatches, and then we'll come back to the outro. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and we can chat back and forth. And until next time, you guys have a wonderful day. Take care.